right, what is going on? Yeah, guys, this is an urgent update. They have begun preparations for evacuations of civilians. The threat of a global war is inching closer and closer each day, and the Warhawks are ready to unleash fire and fury. I wish I was kidding. Again, that this is all going down in Europe and in the rest of the world. It seems like they will stop for absolutely nothing. We're about to dive into all of this right now on Marfoogle News. Now, starting off, of course, Finland says that Russian ship actually sailed into its waters in territorial breach. So we've actually seen a lot of these territorial breaches between adversarial countries. In fact, our allies, just the other day, we covered that Japan rolled right into a no-sail zone with China. We've seen this actually about 4 or 5 times in the last month, where during a drill or no-sail zone or something where they're actually going into the ADIZ of other countries has happened several times. This is on top of all of the events that, of course, have us here in America mostly distracted. This is all going down right under our noses. We're going to talk about it again in 2 seconds. Ukraine, they just magically found more money, and it will be pretty interesting where they say they found it. But Finland said a Russian ship is suspected of a territorial violation in the eastern Gulf of Finland, the latest in a string of border breaches by Moscow. And, of course, the suspected breach of the Nordic nation's water occurred Friday afternoon and is under investigation by the border guard. According to a statement by the defense ministry, no details were given on the vessel. Territorial violations can be part of a toolkit known as hybrid warfare, intended to put pressure on governments and scare citizens. Of course, you could imagine surrounding Taiwan. I don't know if that would be hybrid warfare or just all-out freaking the crap out of an entire people, but that would be an example, I would think. Generally falling short of conventional attacks that could trigger NATO's collective response, various hybrid attacks have grown in frequency since Russia launched its full-scale conflict in Ukraine in early 2022. In Finland, the previous incident took place in June when 4 Russian state aircraft entered the nation's airspace. Finland, which joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization in April of 2023, has also seen multiple commercial aircraft prevented from landing at small airports due to interference with Global Positioning System, or GPS, from Russia's jamming. It says its 1,300-kilometer, 800-mile border with Russia, which makes up half of NATO's eastern flank, has been closed to all road traffic since late last year, which is pretty insane to think about in itself, after Russia began transporting migrants to the border to put pressure on Helsinki. Now, it is very insane that Finland was not a part of this. Now it is another 800 miles along Russia's border on their doorstep that NATO is now there. So that was definitely a big no-no for them. In fact, the whole reason they said that they were doing the whole Ukraine thing is to say, they said that they were doing it because they had citizens there and all of these events were going on. But they also said it was because they would not promise to not join NATO. Now, of course, you've not only gained 2 NATO members, but some are even on the horizon, and Ukraine might even be joining soon. So this is pretty alarming when you pair this with everything else that's we're about to show you. Before we move on, make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/EMP. We are an independent channel here, so if you do want to help us and protect yourself against an EMP strike or an electromagnetic pulse attack, then go over and check out marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is a device you can wire in about 10 minutes into your car, and it will protect you and ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before you end up getting your car fried, your motorhomes, your vehicles, your motorcycles, your boats, your generators, even your ham radio. Again, this is a device that is also used by agencies like DHS, DOD, and of course on the DEMSO team. Again, they make different devices for all sorts of different things, so make sure to go look. You probably have something that can protect you over at EMP Shield. So go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So this is really insane. Pentagon finds another $2 billion. Where did they find it, Dex?
Look, this is like they just pull a rabbit out of their hat, but it seems like anywhere they can turn, they're finding more money that they can just send over to keep the war machine going in Europe. So apparently they continued their audit of everything they sent. And what had happened was they were originally writing off the equipment or the munitions or whatever they were sending at replacement cost. Then they found out, oh, well, if we can write it off on depreciation cost, it's actually less. So if we do that, that means there's more money. That's what they did last time when we said this accounting error created a lot more money they could send over. Well, guess what? They decided to dig even further and found some more stuff they had sent that they used replacement cost on instead of depreciation cost. So think about that. If you buy a brand new car today for $20,000, of course, it depreciates off the lot. A year later, it might be worth, $15,000. A year after that, it might be worth $10,000. So that depreciation value is a lot lower than, say, the replacement cost, which is how much is it to replace that brand new car, or that what was a brand new car with a new car? 20 grand. Well, so they have basically found a ton of money, and they keep doing this to find ways to send money over and keep the machine going.
Well, what are they saying? Oh, well, now 2 years later, it's worth less. And by the way, are missiles and Patriot systems, are they like a used Toyota? Like once you give that to somebody, do they lose their value right when they leave the manufacturer? How do weapons actually lose their value? I mean, you see a lot of poorer countries, they actually buy 60-year-old weapons or 80-year-old weapons or 30-year-old RPGs, and they work just fine. I'm actually surprised that they're saying that these things even depreciate in the first place. But say if it was a vehicle, I guess. But again, if it's a brand new vehicle or a brand new this, I don't get that. But as far as this goes, a lot of people have made the jokes like it's like you make these kind of accounting errors, but if somebody spends $5 extra, they know about it. They will know if you earn $5. But again, they just keep misplacing billions of dollars. And in this, it's kind of this fake error or whatever they want to call it. Nobody believes this. At this point, they can just put whatever else out, and then they put the official angle, and then we just have to suck it up. Dex, go ahead.
Well, look, it's not just about sending another $2 billion over. That's one issue that is very troubling, right? On one hand, the rest of the equation is to think, okay, well, however many billions they have now taken, 8.2 or whatever it may be, out of this particular analysis, they are basically allocating depreciation value back instead of replacement value back. So if we need to replace this stuff, we don't have the money. We have far less money. So if we have, if say we allocated $8 billion towards this stuff, and they use depreciation value, and we turn around and say, well, we need those $8 billion worth of shells in our own arsenal. Guess what? It's going to cost us $16 billion or more.
So they say they used replacement value instead of depreciated value. Why wouldn't we? That doesn't make any sense. Like Dex said, it's going to cost whatever that amount is to get it back for ourselves, and we are going to need it ourselves. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've practically guaranteed to myself that this is going to happen very soon. So why are we doing this? It's absolutely nuts. But again, give us your opinion down below. And NATO is preparing mass evacuation plans for civilians for a Russian invasion. Now, I know that everybody is really torn on what to actually believe because we know we're all being lied to pretty much daily. But they are saying that NATO member state Lithuania is drawing up plans for a mass evacuation of civilians in preparation for the possibility of a war breaking out, the country's interior ministry said. The measures are the latest adopted by members of NATO military alliances to protect against potential Russian attack. Tensions between Russia and NATO have heightened throughout the President Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Moscow has accused the alliance of involvement in the war by providing Kiev with military assistance and weapons, and Russian officials have floated striking member states in retaliation. In response, Baltic states, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia, which if you end up going over the map, they are all three right on the border. I think they call them the doorstep of NATO or something because they're basically right there. But the Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia signed an agreement in January to create a common defense line with, quote, anti-mobility infrastructure elements to bolster NATO's border with Russia and Putin's ally, Belarus. So they're preparing their actual civilians for an evacuation for when they come rolling in. Now, I know some are going to go, but they're just saying that, whatever else. The framework that has been built over the last 2 years that I've shown all of you day by day, if you watch the show every single day, then you've probably followed all of this. Then you probably are on the side of that this is going to happen. And even if Russia wasn't the aggressor, something is going to happen. If, again, the stuff that they're hitting, they are serious targets. And people have already forgot by now, last month when they hit the early warning systems that actually protect Russia from nuclear missiles, those were massive red lines that were crossed. There were tons of red lines that were crossed. And I guess it's good to think that maybe we can cross all the red lines we want and Russia will never end up retaliating. But meanwhile, we've seen tons of really big events, the IT outages, all these different things, and we're chalking it up to an update or this or that. We don't know if those are updates or attacks by not only Russia, but all of the other countries that are right now plotting to take over number one spot or at least take it away from somebody else. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, the Interior Ministry, Lithuania's Interior Ministry, said that that authorities should be prepared to relocate a quarter of the country's population of 2.6 million. That's like 650,000, giving priority to pregnant women, families with young children, and people with disabilities. So that's a massive movement. When you think about moving 650,000 people, I mean, we talked about the migrations that they had just in the Strip, which was literally walking distance because they're moving, miles. It may be, in this case too, there is some short walking distance, but I really think it's more, how are they going to mass move a lot of these people out of the country? Because these countries in this area are small. And I think you look at that area between the Baltic states and it's like moved down away from Kaliningrad because that's where they think the pinch is going to happen, from Russia into Kaliningrad.
Yeah, and the probability of this happening, everybody can argue about, but as far as what they're doing, so say here in America, after the Cold War was over, we started taking out all of these kind of warning things. A lot of the shelters, most of you probably don't know where your local shelters are, probably because they've been retired or they were used for something else or they were used for storage. A lot of people in a lot of cities, especially big cities, don't even know where these things are. As far as we did have a lot of them back in World War II, and a lot of people knew at least general areas, but we are not as prepared as somewhere like Moscow. Moscow, they say that they can house all of the residents of Moscow. Now, in this place, instead of taking them out, like we took them out, like say in Seattle, they used to have a whole lot more sirens, at least warning sirens. They took them out because they thought it was a bad image. Having the sirens in the first place, they thought, oh, well, it makes us look like if we still have sirens, then, we were the aggressor at that time, that if we have sirens or if we look like we're preparing for an attack, that maybe it might even give the idea that we would even be the striker. This was after we dropped 2 nuclear bombs, so it changed the whole kind of look at it. But as far as these guys, they are adding sirens. They're working to install warning sirens. The purpose of the sirens has been very clear for many years. It is a sound signal emitted in outdoor public spaces to warn of danger. The mayor said to date, 41 warning sirens have been installed in the city of Vilnius. They cover approximately 30% of the city's territory. So they're actually putting in air raid sirens right now. And you could say, oh, they're just trying to scare people. But I honestly think that something bigger is going on here. After this big clash of the Titans, that after that, the dust is going to settle and we're going to have a new world. We're going to have a new one that has new rules, has new rulers, all of this. And it's not going to be what you think it is textbook, like China wins, now China runs the world. I think that there's people in all of these countries that are really making decisions and supporting both sides. We saw this in every other war. Why would it be different for this one? As far as World War I and World War II, you had big families, the names that everybody talks about and makes theories about, those families really did support both sides of a war. Back to the civil conflict. They would support this side and that side. They would basically bet on both sides. So right now, with all of the stuff that's moving around and all of the drills and all of the surprise visits from Russia down to Florida and Chinese and Russia for the first time flying bombers up by Alaska, people need to get their head on a swivel. I know most of you were born that way, but your friends and family weren't. So at least try to get the message out. Share this video out with friends and family. Again, this alone may not make your friends and family really wake up to this. But if they end up watching back a month, all of this isn't dots connecting out of nowhere. This is at the very tip of an iceberg that is massive. War is not going to be the end of the world. World War III is not going to be the end. It is going to be the beginning, and it's already started. Dex, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Join us. We're going to do a short show over on Marfoogle TV and cover all of the rest of the events. Paris just had an attack. The trains just ended up getting shut down. Something like 800,000 are going to be infected right away. This is all during the kickoff of the Olympics. So, yeah, something is happening. They say that there may even be more attacks coming. Tune in for that, and don't miss it. If you want to watch that show, all you have to do is click here.